Caitlin Clark out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this.
After Caitlin Clark abruptly ended the 2025 season, the internet is exploding more quickly than a malfunctioning washing machine. After only one of her remarks, supporters are suddenly unsure of whether to weep, riot, or launch astrological and Gatorade conspiracy theories. You don't scroll past headlines like this one. You better pay attention because everything just changed. It says, grabbing your brain and shaking it around.
Surprising at this point, but still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season.
The notion that Caitlin Clark's basketball fairy tale just ran out of chapters far too soon is what we are looking at here. Now sitting on the sidelines, looking like the most heartbreaking what-if in recent memory, is the girl who made even casual fans suddenly care about women's hoops and transformed every stadium into a sold-out circus. Let's not sugarcoat this either. Already, the murmurs have begun. Did I ask this it? Could she become the ultimate one-season wonder with only one injury, wiping out all the excitement, records, and ESPN highlight reels?
Statement saying this: I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the...
Because let's face it, the sports industry has a goldfish-like memory. When people are discussing if the 2026 rookie is the genuine deal, you move from being the basketball equivalent of the Golden Kid to being a passing mention. Clark had one spectacular season, which appeared to be the beginning of his rise to fame. She is currently trapped with a type of medical record that causes even hopeful admirers to search for athletes who never fully recover on Google. It's cruel. No matter how many shirts you sell or how many kids put your name on their bedroom wall, sports don't care. Sports only give a damn if you can consistently turn up.
Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA. But the good news is her career is not over. But it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And ever since Stephanie White's...
Additionally, Caitlin Clark is currently attending press conferences with well-crafted remarks that seem far too much like damage control rather than appearing in court. I'll be returning stronger and more, so please remember me while I disappear into rehab purgatory. That's the attitude.
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? Like that, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the air.
Naturally, the trolls are having a great time. Suddenly, orthopedic doctors are the same folks who a year earlier couldn't even spell her name. She will become the Greg Oden of women's basketball before she even receives her second salary, according to their predictions that she will never dribble again. That's the internet, but it's barbaric. You're entertainment in a whole other sense if you don't perform. Some athletes recover as quickly as rubber bands. Some crumble like a cookie that has gone bad. Furthermore, no one can truly predict which side Clark will settle on. That particular when reminding ourselves that fame does not equate to longevity, we invariably cite one athlete. The speed at which this developed is almost cruel. Consider it. She was destroying defenses, scoring points like a cheat code in video games, and grinning her way through post-game interviews as though she had figured out basketball itself not long ago.
Well, there you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the...
These days, her condition updates read like soap operas. Script. Will she come back? Will she continue to play the same game? Has she lost confidence? Watch next week. No longer do fans watch highlights. It's easier for them to analyze medical data than to acknowledge that they may have already witnessed her peak. The terrible reality is that some careers don't conclude with farewell tours and ovations. Some professions simply end. The issue is that there are a dozen athletes that faded into trivia questions for every comeback legend. Because, well, why would anyone remember them? Nor is the media assisting. Already, they are penning thought pieces concerning if Clark is overpriced, if she was a publicity stunt, and if this indicates that women's basketball cannot support a superstar the way men's basketball can. It's tiring, but that's the way it is.
Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever.
You cannot simply be hurt. You must represent something greater, something striking, or anything that complements a Chiron. Her knee isn't just her knee anymore. It serves as the focal point of a discussion over the sport's future. The elephant in the room should also not be disregarded. Just one season. Before the walls collapsed, that was all she had. One season of getting selected, one incredible run, and one collection of viral clips. What are we to think of it if it is the entire resume? Was it brilliance or only a fun flirtation with fate? Short stories don't go well in sports history books. They favor sagas. Will she ever get back to her former self? Will they make her a shadow of the person she used to be? Is the Caitlin Clark era coming to an end before it ever officially started? Because the answers to these questions are so ambiguous, fans are unable to stop asking them. But here's the horrible twist. In fact, her legend might become more widespread if she never returns. Consider it. Early burnout athletes can occasionally become legendary. We recall what they might have been rather than what they were.
Young lady finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're gonna have a meeting. Are you guys gonna let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's gonna be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first time we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
Clark could end up being basketball's greatest untold tale, immortalized as the unstoppable force that never had a follow-up. that could even make her more famous than if she had been just extremely good for another 10 seasons. Sports fans enjoy their tragedies nearly as much as their champions, which is illogical. So, this is our current situation. Once the unstoppable storm, Caitlin Clark is currently the most intriguing question mark in the world. Her injuries might be a minor setback in a lengthy and successful career. Alternatively, it can be the last sentence. No one is aware. However, we are aware that the globe is observing, worrying, making assumptions, and yes, covertly taking pleasure in the mayhem. And the most intriguing headline of all, what if she doesn't get better? That goes beyond mere conjecture. It's the worst-case scenario that people are always discussing in sports bars and group conversations. Imagine it, a player with a quick ascent who is hailed as women's basketball's savior unexpectedly emerged as the decade's most well-known what might have been. Even casual fans will roll their eyes at the basketball gods due to the blatant irony. It's similar like presenting a gift to the world and then taking it away before anyone can appreciate it.
Well, here we are. The next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season, something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged out as an...
She may be the talk of the town 1 minute, and then your coach will use her as a warning about overexposure during practice. Let's not pretend that this viewpoint isn't attracting the attention of the media. They enjoy creating stars only to destroy them. The golden goose was Caitlin Clark. She generated viral moments, sold jerseys, and raised ratings. However, the story now turns to clickbait conjecture. All of a sudden, everyone is discussing whether or not her career is already over. Forget about recovery schedules. This is about the possible collapse, drama, and tear off an empire before it had the opportunity to grow. This is the thing about sports fans, which makes it both interesting and brutal. This is what they secretly thrive on. Even though they won't acknowledge it, witnessing a celebrity struggle is entertaining in and of itself. Could her career really be over because of this injury? Indeed, it is feasible on paper. Many sportsmen have experienced setbacks before they even started. No matter how many hours you spend working out or how many protein shakes you consume, your body is not invincible. Certain wounds simply don't heal the way you would like them to. Additionally, all of that excitement is crammed into a dusty trophy case marked unrealized potential if Clark's body betrays her.
And to the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the off season is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full season.
The frightening aspect is that she has a very small margin for mistake. She lacks a 10-year history of success to draw from. She doesn't have a decade's worth of highlight clips, MVPs, or many titles. She just has one season, that's all. She appeared untouchable for one magnificent, unstoppable season. Her entire career may be boiled down to a highlight reel on YouTube called Caitlin Clark's Best Plays Before to the Injury if she is unable to improve upon that. Furthermore, nobody wants to be a playlist rather than a legacy, let's face it. The argument gets heated at this point. Some admirers will contend that her influence is already legendary even if she never returns to the court. Caitlin's resume is still being created at this time, and just now, the builders went on strike. The speed at which the sports machine advances exacerbates the situation. Clark is recovering, but the league isn't taking a break. The spotlight may have changed by the time she is ready, if she is ever ready, as new players and celebrities will emerge. Sports don't wait for anyone, not even the most talented athletes. Even if one player is trapped in the trainer's room, the clock continues to tick.
A conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X. And it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark fans.
The cruelest aspect of all is that she might recover, come back, and yet be forgotten. Perhaps even more difficult than the physical game is the mental one. Imagine having to watch from the sidelines while others steal your thunder when you're accustomed to controlling every night. It wears you down. It causes you to doubt everything. Am I ever going to be the same? Are people any longer concerned? Worst of all, had I already passed my peak? When the lights go down and the noise level is higher than any crowd could ever be, those questions start to seep into your mind. Then there is the strain, the pressure. Oh, imagine being informed that you are the league spokesperson, the sport salvation, and the person who will carry everything into the future. Imagine then that you might not even be around in the future if you blow out your knee or suffer any other kind of damage. It goes beyond a simple physical rehabilitation. That is a destruction of the mind. Despite this, everyone seems to expect you to be cheerful, make pronouncements about maintaining your optimism, and act as like nothing is wrong. Even when the game ends, the performance continues.
WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans are even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance.
It's incredible how just single injury might completely alter her story. She is more than just a star if she bounces back and takes control once more. She is legendary. The kid who made a comeback. The person who overcame hardship and triumphed. However, she is the tragic character if she doesn't. Before she could even pay in, the player who had it all lost it. In any case, her name will live on in history. It simply depends on whether it falls under the tragedies or heroes section. Furthermore, we cannot deny that this has repercussions. The league itself, as well as sponsors and broadcasters, created marketing campaigns centered around her. In a perverse way, it is relatable. Everybody has had the feeling that something was taken from them too soon. Thus, Clark's tale may have a greater impact than if she had simply had a lengthy, typical, prosperous career. Therefore, it is possible that this is the end. It's likely that Caitlin Clark's career ended before it really got started. We might conclude that her one successful season was the end of her career. Although it's a brutal fact, sports are experts at dealing with this kind of reality.
Those that don't know, Caitlin Clark recently put out a statement basically saying that she is out for the remainder of the season. Sad news for the basketball world. Avid WNBA fans know that Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for weeks, actually months, due to her growing injury. Has been putting a lot of work in, rehabbing, trying to get back onto the court. And some people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs because right now the Fever sit at the 8th spot. Not sure if they'll be able to keep the 8th spot and get into the playoffs, but a lot of people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs. I'm personally glad that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark decided to just rest her for the rest of the season and just shut it.
You can be vulnerable 1 minute and immortal the next. Additionally, the harsh beauty of in the end, no one can predict how the story will conclude, least of the individual who is experiencing it. We have now reached the crucial question. Is this the greatest spectacular halftime break in sports history, or is it truly the end? Caitlin Clark isn't merely missing a couple of games. Her entire future is hanging in the air in front of us like a cliffhanger in a basketball soap drama, as either Clark makes the biggest comeback since sliced bread first appeared on store shelves, or she disappears into the background as the most well-known one-hit wonder basketball player in history. When she's prepared to put on her shoes once more, if she has the spotlight, may have discovered a new favorite, always ready. That is the harsh truth. However, it also serves as the hook that draws readers in and holds their attention. Because Caitlin Clark has already accomplished something that most athletes never do, whether it is the ascent, the decline, or the tragic epilogue. She has made it impossible to ignore her. Whether she plays again isn't the only question. What kind of Caitlin Clark will we get if she does? That is the true question. Is she the ghost of a career that ended before it really started, or is she a comeback queen? The world will continue to watch in any case.